There's a very simple yet powerful method of dropping our addiction to thoughts. That method simply consists of discovering the peace and joy of being. What we can realize is that we are only addicted and drawn into our thoughts because they hold some kind of promise. They promise safety, security, knowledge, and even peace. And as long as we feel that we are fundamentally lacking in peace, thought will have a certain allure to it. And a very powerful and simple antidote is therefore just to discover an inherent peace, an inherent joy that doesn't require us to change anything. When we can rest in that effortless peace here and now, then what need is there to immerse ourselves into an unproductive, neurotic thought spiral? So let's just do that right here and now. Let's discover what it's like to simply be, to rest fully, to not need to understand anything, accomplish anything, not need to go anywhere. Just effortless being. We simply feel ourselves into this effortlessness. We're dropping into natural spaciousness. And we can access this by using any of our sense fields. We shift to a more panoramic, soft view, taking in the entire visual field. We're opening to the sounds all around us. We're opening to the space of the body, allowing all sensations to arise within it. And then we're simply dropping any attempt to go somewhere, to create something. And we're just resting here and now. As every other perception, so too thought continues to arise. And that too is included in this relaxed openness. Now, as we are resting here, we just very lightly and with curiosity notice what it's like to be here. Just coming to a very simple and gentle appreciation of what it's like to be open. And there's a sense of having some breathing room here. A natural spaciousness. We can notice that there is a sense of peace and equanimity lightly coming to the foreground. We're not shooting for anything special here. Just 10% more openness, 10% more relaxation, just a bit more equanimity. We don't force these qualities to come to the foreground. They simply arise spontaneously as we're resting here fully. Now, what you might notice here is that sometimes thoughts arise and they seem to have a certain kind of pull to them. We feel that there is a kind of compulsion to want to go into them. And notice how, whenever that's the case, It's because the thought arrives with a certain feeling tone attached to it. Instead of seeing that as a problem, we're simply allowing that whole construction of thought and feeling to present itself. Just see it happening. There it comes. It has some kind of content to it. It has a certain flavor. It's changing, it's morphing, it's shifting, and it's vanishing. So, when we don't follow that compulsion to immerse ourselves into that structure, it just self-liberates. Nothing needs to be done for this to be the case. This is just the natural state of all phenomena. They vanish in the moment of their arising, effortlessly. We don't need to edit and control and manipulate our experience. So in this way, we see that if we're just staying in this relaxed, open space with this joy of being, then a difficult thought and an attached feeling might arise. But just as it arises, it will also just naturally leave again, with no further work required. And because the fulfillment of simply resting here is so enjoyable, we don't feel compelled to follow the promise of the thought. Why go into that when everything is already here and given? Nothing can be delivered from that thought that isn't already here. And because of that, we feel that we don't need to do anything. We don't need to follow that thought. At the same time, while we don't feel compelled to immerse ourselves into thought structures, it's not like there is unawareness of thought. This means that if a thought has some kind of useful content, we notice that, and the body naturally follows and performs whatever is demanded in a given situation. So thought is still there and accessible as a tool, but it no longer dominates us. We're not getting pulled around and disturbed by thoughts. If thoughts are useful, then they arise and do their job. If thought isn't useful, it just arises and vanishes again. So in this way, we're familiarizing ourselves with the peace of simply being, and everything just follows out of that.